Hey guys, it's Missy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. Welcome to the show. I'm a little discombobulated. I'll explain why in a second. Let me just get the chat up. Whew, it's been a little crazy. So I want to welcome everybody. Look at my new microphone. It glows. I got to figure out where I'm going to put it. But I think right now it'll be like that. I'm going to warn you with my ADHD. I'm probably going to look at it like, oh, it's glowing. Hopefully you guys can hear me. How do I sound? Give me a thumbs up if I sound okay. Yeah, I like it. Obviously it matches my room. I couldn't afford big fancy ones that all the other podcasters have, but I found this and I was like, yes, that's mine. Yeah, hi everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope everyone is doing good. It is warm, so I'm going to try to blow through everything that I have to get through. I'm a little behind, and I'll explain why. I'll go into this first before I get into the other stuff. There's a young woman, I'm not going to share her name, who is a survivor of, some of the stuff that went on with the Explorers program. And she texted me and asked if she could come on the show tonight. And I didn't see her text till last minute, and I gave her a call. Excuse me, I didn't get to take my inhaler before I went live. I didn't get a chance to give her a call. See, I don't even have my glasses on yet. That's how out of it I am. So I gave her a call, and her and I talked for a little while. And I told her I would rather have her come on and do a full show. And, so we can really talk about things. But I did tell her that I would mention something. And I planned on doing this at the end. But since I'm explaining why I'm a little flustered, I'll do it now. I told her that I would tell everybody, be mindful of the people who are a part of this case, other victims, witnesses, family members like Barb and Sandra's aunt and other cousins, and please be mindful of them, because to them this isn't just a story about a true crime story. This is about a young woman who was groomed from the age of 12 to 23. And yes, the grooming process can continue when you're a full grown adult. And she, they're dealing with the aftermath of everything that goes on in this case. And I think sometimes people forget that there are other victims of this case, not just Sandra, her family, her friends, the community, the town of Stoughton are victims. And there are also witnesses witnesses that are victims. And we just need to make sure that we're mindful of that and give them some grace, because sometimes they might lash out and you don't understand why they're lashing out, or you don't understand why this person might be angry. But it's because they're dealing with it in a different way than you are. Like, they're dealing in a totally different way than I am. And I sit with this case every day. And just please be mindful of the other people who are involved in this case. Just please, I understand that people want to be the first to put things out there and be the first to, be the one to break the story and whatnot. But you also have to remember that there are other people in this case, and it's not just Sandra. So please, I ask that people show a little grace to those people. And when you find out somebody is a part of this case and what they went through, please show them some understanding and love, because they need your support, not for you to treat them like an outcast or anything like that. So, all right, let me get off my soapbox about that and get into some stuff. I am like really, really behind. So you guys are going to have to bear with me. So I might have to have you guys chat amongst yourselves for a few minutes. I can babble along with what I got to do, but I didn't, like I said, I was just last minute type of, like really, like I barely got my shirt on. Like I was literally, oh, did I freeze? I froze. Sorry about that. Because I'm loading my emails, trying to get that up. I normally have everything loaded so I don't have to worry about freezing at all. Yeah, I was like 2 minutes before I went live, I was not even like dressed fully. So, but you know what? It's fine because I would rather me be like running around like a mad person and take that phone call and talk to that person than you know, miss that phone call and not talk with that person. And so I would have rather taken that phone call and be like a little like this. And my bra sticks out of this shirt, so I'm gonna try to. You're gonna be seeing my bra strap all night, so deal with it. Let's just say that, deal with it. So all right, let me get my emails up because some of the stuff I gotta get is in my emails. So first we're gonna go over the updates that we have going on with Sandra's case, and kind of explain a little bit why the hearing last week was postponed. Matthew Farwell will have 2 hearings coming up in October, and I'll bring that stuff up right now. Just give me 1 second. So how is everyone doing? I hope you're all having a good day. I'm doing pretty good. I haven't been on for a little while because I've been dealing with migraines really bad lately, and I'm swelling in my leg, and it's been a lot. It's been tough. So I've been trying to deal with that, and then my mom got sick for a second time, so I had to take care of the house, and I might need a second. Give me 1 second. Follow, fill, slide it down. There we go. That's better. So I've been dealing with a lot of little things like that. And share screen. So I hope everyone is doing well, and I appreciate you all for joining me. There's a lot to go over tonight, and that's one reason why I didn't want to have that person come on as a guest tonight, because our conversation can't be just a 5-minute conversation. It deserves its own show, and I want this person to be able to why is that doing that? No. There we go. I'm a little backwards too because I got to get used to the mic. I still haven't gotten a battery for my mouse. I have them. They're downstairs. I just haven't done it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what's coming up with Sandra's case. Okay, so Matthew Farwell, and I'll get into the reasons why after I get through all these announcements. Matthew Farwell, and you guys can't see that. You know what? I'm just gonna do this. Matthew Farwell has 2 hearings coming up in October. The first one is October 6th at 2:00 at the Moakley Courthouse in Boston. We'll be starting a standout at 12:30 p.m. This is his last pre-conference hearing. No. Yes, pre-conference hearing. And then on October 11th, basically a week, 10 days later, he'll have another hearing at 11 a.m. and we'll be there at 9:30. So I'll get to it in a minute why those hearings were canceled. That hearing was canceled, but it seems like the first hearing is going to be the last, last hearing to go over where they're at in discovery, and then the second hearing on the 16th will be us getting into the next phase. So that's a good thing, because on the 28th of August will be exactly a year that he's been arrested, and we need more movement on this case. Not case. Let me go back to the other page. And on August 26th, Josh Heel has his next post-commission hearing. And I will be streaming that. So that will be October 26th, and I will be streaming at 9:45. The hearing is at 10 if you want to watch it over Zoom. We're hoping that at this hearing, it will be resolved. There might not even end up being a hearing, but hopefully by this hearing, things will be resolved. I didn't even get to put my lotion on my hands. So everything will be resolved. See, the thing that's going on with his stuff right now is a little, let me go full screen for me, is a little tricky, because he right now is not certified, because his license, yes, it's October 6th at 2 p.m. We'll be there at 12:30. He let his license to operate as a police officer lapse. So right now he's not certified. But the thing is, if they don't fully decertify him, a few years from now, he can come back and try to get recertified. And we don't want that. We want him not to be able to be a police officer anymore for his part in the abuse of Sandra Birchmore. So, we want to make sure that goes to what they were talking about. They were trying to work out the logistics and what they have to do on their end of how that would work out. But that's what we want. We want him to be fully decertified. He can't be allowed to ever come back and be a police officer in Massachusetts or anywhere. So my glasses are starting to fog up. I might have to do a speed show tonight, because I have a feeling it's going to get very warm in here. So yeah, Kim, 1974, Josh should be locked up. Never mind a cop. Yes, but you got to look at it this way. He is going to be a big person in Farwell's case. He knows a lot. So yes, I agree. He what he did is disgusting and horrible for what part he played into the abuse of Sandra Birchmore, but he will help ensure that Matthew Farwell will stay in prison. And like Barb just said, he's going to be a federal witness against Matthew Farwell. So, I'm sure he will have some kind. I don't know. I don't have any insight into this, but I'm sure he will have some sort of deal with the feds. The feds know what he knows, and they have the information. They have basically his balls in a vice. And so if they don't have a deal with him, if you don't tell, if he doesn't tell the truth, he'll get charged with perjury. That simple. But they could have an agreement with him. If you testify and you're truthful, we won't prosecute you. Because he participated in the trafficking of Sandra. He is one of the men that was introduced to Sandra. So, I'm sure he would rather be a witness than a defendant. Sorry, guys, my internet just dropped. I've heard from other YouTubers that they're having problems with their internet also. So part of it is me, but part of it is StreamYard. So Scott, the dates for, I'll scroll back, I'll bring that back up. The dates for Farwell's hearings are October 6th at 2 p.m. and then October 16th at 11 a.m. So on the 6th and then 10 days later. Yes, thank you for joining us, Scott. And thank you everybody who's here. Because everything, I was a little flustered with everything that was going on, which what I explained. You're welcome, Scott. I didn't get to greet everybody and thank everybody by name for being here. And I appreciate you all for being here. Okay, let me bring myself back up and go to the next thing on the agenda. Let's see. Okay, so the next thing we have planned is, let me bring this up. So on August 28th, it is the 1-year anniversary from when Matthew Farwell was arrested. And Morrissey still hasn't done anything to do any state charges. Why are there no state charges? Why haven't they gone after them for the larceny? Now, I personally think just charging them with the larceny, which is the time theft charges, is BS. But at least they would be charged for stealing the time, for doing these heinous things while on the clock, while doing these things while being stolen police officers. Call me a little crazy. So we are going to do a standout strictly just for Sandra Birchmore. Obviously, people are free to bring signs. We're not the sign police, but we want people, as many people as we can get there to hold signs for Sandra. And I'm going to bring my mini megaphone. We're not going to do speeches or anything like that, but there's a few things I want to ask him, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you know, we we feel we need to make another showing at Morrissey's office. Um, so so it's August 28th. It's the Thursday before Labor Day. And we understand people go out of town that weekend. If you can't come, you can't come. That's fine. We understand. But we'll be there. And if you can make it, please come. And we have extra signs, and if you feel like making your own, please make your own, and you can continuously use that and come join us at other Sandra Birchmore standouts. And so it's going to be from 3 to 5 at Morrissey's office, the DA's office. It's at 25 Shawmut Road in Canton, Massachusetts. I admire your dedication to this case, Mizzy. Keep up the good work. Ireland is watching all this. You are a brave woman. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us from Ireland. We appreciate it. We need the world to see what happened to Sandra. And also the world needs to see what happened, because not just because of what happened to Sandra herself, but so we can prevent another child going through this. This isn't just an America problem. There are other cases that have gone on in other countries, and we need everybody to. Sandra's case needs to shine a light onto what is happening. So, Scott, I'm not surprised. He's a coward. And we'll get into some of that a little bit more. So let me move on so we can get to some of the good stuff. I mean, this is good stuff too. I mean, again, this is very important stuff. But let's say what I'm chuckling about. So again, Norfolk DA's office, 45 Shawmut Road, Canton, Massachusetts, Thursday, August 28th, 2025, from 3 to 5 p.m. Let me scroll to the next one. Oh, okay, so never mind. Let me go back to let me go back to full screen. So, do we have any questions before we move on? I'm chuckling because I had a feeling that, I don't know if everybody knows, but actually, before I get into this, so everybody knows what Scott is talking about in the chat. They did a standout today at Morrissey's office, and I don't know how, Scott, you can fill us in. I'm not sure how big it was, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's one person, 10 people, 50 people. He needs to understand that we are not going anywhere, and we will do everything we can to support whoever runs against him. That's awesome, Scott. Oops. Why is that coming up? Why is that? Sorry, I'm working with my left hand. I gotta get my mouse in so I can I don't know what's going on. My screen's like bouncing around. Oh, I'm a hot mess. I'm so outraged about the whole case, especially that joke Fanning called it a suicide. That's another jerk that should be locked up. It's more than just Fanning. Fanning's like, one of the main people, Fanning and Dunn. But, there's the medical examiner who gave them the means to call it a suicide. It's Morrissey who allowed them free reign. It's uh, Tully who was their supervisor, their other supervisor who left right after Sandra, right after the whole thing was basically tied up in a bow. So it's more than just Fanning, but I agree that Fanning is a big, big part about it. Oh, that's awesome, Scott. About 45 peeps. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I could have gone. I found out about it yesterday from Dana. Sorry, I didn't mean to clap into the mic right in front of the microphone. I'll do it here. I'm not used to having the mic. I should know better. I'm a singer. I should know better. I found out about it yesterday, and just with how my leg has been, I didn't want to take a chance, especially since I'm going to be coming down in 2 weeks. But I'm so glad that amount of people showed up. Excuse me, I'm taking a big gulp. Let me see. Yes, Fanning will be a witness in the case because he's one of the investigators who originally investigated their case. So I'm sure, and even if the prosecution didn't want to call them, the defense would want to call them, because the defense wants to know why they called it a suicide and why DOJ is calling it a murder. That's awesome. Yeah, Annie told me that she was going to bring the signs because my bag is down at Annie's house. So I'm going to get back to what Barb said here. Let me scroll up a little bit. Fanning, from Barb, Fanning sat across the table from my cousin, Sandra's aunts and uncle, and told them to their faces it was suicide. And also, Officer Nix from Canton PD disgustingly told Sandra's aunt that she killed herself. It was vile, and I will never stop saying that. I'll say it every live stream. He's a vile, disgusting person for the way he told Sandra's aunt. You should never, ever, ever be allowed to tell another family member that their family member has passed, because you have no empathy and you are a vile and disgusting person. Okay. Is there any questions, any other comments before we move on to the I'm saying the fun part just because I take pleasure in it. And partly because, some of it involves me, me personally. Yeah, I agree, Coco. Dominoes are falling. And what we're going to talk about today is part of the dominoes falling. And that's Michael Morrissey's emails being released. I had a feeling that we would be in the papers, as Melanie Little likes to say, the papers. But I didn't realize that I would personally be in the papers. A snippet from a paper. So, so if I'm sure everybody in the chat, but if you don't know, some of Michael Morrissey's, about, what was it, like 4,000, over 4,000 emails were released. And most of them are about Karen Reed, and most of them are about Turtle Boy, but there are a few about Sandra. Let me answer this question. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Thank you for, see, sometimes I need you guys to remind me. Before we get into Michael Morrissey's emails, let me get into this. Give me 1 second. I got to switch, get out of this email. Go into different email. Shoot. Give me 1 second. It's making me log into Facebook. Give me 1 second. I might just have to tell you guys or read it. I might just read it from my phone. If it doesn't let me. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not letting me bring up the full thing. So I'll just tell you from here. So basically, the major reason they aren't going to be, they had to postpone was because the defense has not turned over any discovery in the case yet. So DOJ has been turning over stuff. They turned over like a large portion of their investigation right after Matthew Farwell was arrested. Looking at this. Excuse me, let me adjust myself. Right after Farwell was arrested. And so, you know, his team had a large amount of the work product that they needed, but DOJ kept turning over information because they've been continuing to investigate. They've been continuing to investigate the case. So, you know, they've come up with other stuff. But there was something that I really did want to share from it. So I'm going to pull it up on my phone and read it from here. Let me just bring it up so I can look up. Something else that's kind of juicy. So I'll remind me to tell you that too. Okay. So DOJ turned over stuff on the going back to September 24th, October 1st, October 18th, December 12th, January 2nd, 10th, 13th, and 28th, March 5th, 11th, and 27th, April 15th, and July 15th. And the defense hasn't turned anything over yet. So the defense wants more time to go over everything, and the defense is going to turn over stuff to the to DOJ, the attorney's U.S. Attorney's Office, so they can go over it. And they made basically they worked it out between themselves, so they didn't have to go in front of a judge to work it out. And so the next hearings will be, you know, a matter of them being able to go in front of the judge and say, listen, they haven't turned anything over. I personally think in October, we're going to get dates for the trial. I think the dates for the trial are going to be next year. I believe they're going to be early in the year. I'm hoping they will be like closer to April, just so we don't have to deal with the snow. So, you know, once that is once they turn everything, once they get to a certain point, the Speedy Trial Act kicks in, because the judge said that they were going to hold it till they had everything worked out. They have to go to trial within 78 days of the Speedy Trial Act kicked in. So if that's kicked in October, it'll be 70 days from them. So so instead of bringing it, they worked it out between themselves, and instead of having to go to court, that's why they did that. Now, Matthew Farwell probably won't be in court on the 6th, but if they have the hearing on the 16th, and it's the hearing that they're supposed to have, he will probably be there, because it's not the status conference hearing. That's what it is. The 6th will be a status conference hearing, and the 16th will be a pre-trial hearing. Those are the differences. So the status conference hearings, it's just them going in front of the judge to say, hey, this is what we have so far. But once they get into the pre-conference, that's when things start to get a little more spicy. For those of you who watched the Karen Reed, trials, we know how those went. Obviously, hopefully don't think it'll be like that, but that's when things get a little spicy. That's when, we'll see what the defense wants to try to keep out, and those type of things. We'll see. So, and we also need to understand that he just hired a death penalty lawyer. What was it, Barb? What was it in the end of June, right? Either the end of June or very early July. So that lawyer has to get caught up on everything. And they were already, there's a lot of paperwork. So that's partly why what's going on. I try not to get stressed. I mean, it's annoying, but I try not to get stressed out when they cancel the hearings. It's frustrating. We plan that we want to get everybody there and get all the logistics for us to get there and be there to represent Sandra. But if this is in the best interest of prosecuting Sandra's case, I can't be mad, yes, Farwell is still locked up. The question is Farwell still locked up, and there hasn't been a bail set? I hope not. No, he is still locked up. He is in a correction facility in Rhode Island, a federal correction facility, and he didn't do a bail hearing because he knew he wasn't. It's a death penalty case. He knew he was not going to get out of jail. He wasn't. The judge was going to let him out, or if she was going to let him out, the amount was going to be a ridiculous amount. So he decided just to stay. And I'm hearing different things, but I had spoken to a corrections officer, and they told me that he was only taking, coming out, taking showers, and going right back to his cell. But somebody told me things have changed a little bit. Excuse me, my lips are wicked dry. Things have changed, and he is coming out. I don't know how true that second one is, but I'm going to stay with what they originally told me, because that's what I hope is going on, that he's just sitting, excuse me, get a big plate. He's just sitting in his cell, sulking, hating what he did to his life and how he ruined his family and his life and destroyed Sandra and her family. And I hope Sandra is haunting him every moment that he's in jail. The fun things. No worries about the autocorrect. It happens to me all the time. You know what's weird about autocorrect? Like when you're trying to sound out a word, that's when you need autocorrect to work. But when you're not trying to say a word, that's when it autocorrects you. Like, make it make sense. I swear autocorrect is like just evil and is like, hey, I'm going to mess with this person. So anyway, so are there any other questions about this? And, you know, a reminder, federal cases are not, okay, June 24th is when it was made public that he hired the death penalty. Thank you, Barb. June 24th was when that came out about his death penalty lawyers, and that's not a lot of time for the amount of paperwork. I mean, there were over 32,000 text messages alone. Can you imagine how much paperwork they have to go through? So again, does anybody have any questions about this part or any other thing that we've been talking about before we move on to the next part? Okay, doesn't seem like it. I have to keep remembering that a microphone is louder. So when I take a sip of a drink, it's going to be louder for you guys. So I apologize. I should know this, but I'm just getting used to my microphone and I love it. I love when I saw that it glows. It reminds me of like it's a fire. You know, I got to work out a little bit better. Like the, it moves weird. So it doesn't quite sit straight. I got to work it out a little better. But anyway, so let me get to the next part. So go back to the other email that we were in. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay, so let's get into Morrissey's emails. I'll make it bigger in a second. So for those who don't know and who haven't seen, as I was saying, there was basically a dump of over 4,000 emails. Thank you, Susan. 4,000 emails, not 40,000, 4,000 emails, 4,000 plus emails of Michael Morrissey's that he was using. A lot of them are from his burner, one of his burner accounts. And it's him messaging people in the office. It's him messaging a judge. It's him messaging the Speaker of the House to get $1 million to retry Karen Read. Everybody should be horrified by that. And also, just with that alone, that's really suspicious because how did he know? Like they originally said that Brennan was going to be paid a certain amount and that he was going to be paid $250 an hour. How did he know at that point? Because he knew, but I'm kind of asking a question that I already know the answer to. How did he know that the fees were going to turn out to be about $1 million between Brennan and what's the name of the car? The Welcher. How much he paid Welcher, Aperture. How did he know it was going to be almost $1 million between paying those two entities? That's a question everybody needs to be asking him. Every reporter who bumps into him, every reporter should be calling him over and over again and asking him, how did he know that he was going to be paying them that much? Because that's what he asked for, $1 million. So in these emails, as I was saying, there's a lot of stuff about Karen Reed. I'm not going to go through those. I mean, I might mention a few here and there, like the one I just did. There's a lot of suspicious things throughout there. And there's a lot about Turtle Boy, and he is obsessed with Turtle Boy. And I think Turtle Boy should make that song by Mariah Carey, Obsessed with Me, his new theme song, because Michael Morrissey is obsessed with him. And it shows why they were so overzealous with going after him. It shows why they did the things that they did to go after him. It's because Morrissey was tired of looking like an ass. Aiden was making the DA's office and the Massachusetts State Police under him look like buffoons. And they stopped at nothing to go after him. And those emails are showing that. And there's a lot of stuff that we don't get to see the replies to emails. Most emails, as actually, we're going to see a reply in what I'm going to show you guys. I agree. What a waste of $500,000. And that's just what Brennan was paid. Aperture was almost paid the same amount. It's absolutely ludicrous. How many other cases went to the wayside, or did they skimp on because they retried Karen Reed? Why? A DA has the right to tell the people under him, you're going to try this case. Why didn't he make one of the many lawyers in his office try the case? There is been rumors out there saying that they all refused to try the case. So he had to go get Brennan. Or was it that he wanted somebody like Brennan who was dirty and would play dirty tricks and dirty pool and do dirty things in the courtroom to try to go after Karen? Things like trying to get her lawyer's communications. That's not a thing. That's not a thing that happens. Communications with a lawyer and their client, that's between the lawyer and the client. Like, even after the case, like, there are things that Yannetti and Alessi and Little and Jackson, they can't say because they're private communications with them and Karen. So what these emails are showing is it's putting a lot of the corruption on Front Street, and I'm here for it. I was going to brew some iced tea and sip some tea. That's why there was a teacup and a kettle on my little thumbnail, but I ran out of time. But we could still soak it up, drink it up, because I'm here for it. I am here. I knew they had to have been talking about us. The Justice for Sandra Birchmore group. I knew that they had to have not liked us, not liked what we were doing, because we were another mirror being shown up to them. It wasn't just the Free Karen Reed group. It was the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group that was also showing a mirror to them, making them look at themselves in the mirror, showing the world what's been going on, showing the world that, what happened in Sandra's case is not what they are saying. And I know they hated every ounce of it. And I haven't spoken to the reporter to see if I can show it, but I knew this was going on back from my first Standout. It was in August of 23, because there was an email that went out throughout the DA's office to let them know that there was going to be a Standout for Sandra Birchmore at their office, and that Free Karen Reed was welcomed to come. And I was like, oh, so they're talking about us. We're in their ear. We're affecting them. Why are they afraid of us? Because they're afraid of us talking. It's just like they were afraid of Aiden. They were afraid of Free Karen Reed. They were afraid of support, of showing the narrative is not what the Norfolk DA's office and the Massachusetts State Police were saying. So let's get into it. I'm gonna put it up on screen, and I'm gonna take myself off screen. But I want to zoom in first. Okay. I really got to get my thing fixed. Okay. So this email was sent from Michael Morrissey, one of his burner accounts, his cloud account, on Wednesday, March 1st, 2023 at 10:16 p.m. I got to come back on screen for this. Actually, maybe I'll leave myself a little bit on screen in the small. Yeah. So when I saw this, when I was looking through, because there's a couple other emails that he sent out. I don't know if they're both ours, or if they're. Why is he Googling stuff at like 10 o'clock at night? It's like this man is obsessed with Googling his cases, and at like, he's like doom scrolling Google. He must have Google alerts. Now, mind you, what this is about is he sent it to Megan Monahan, Monahan. Yes, I said it right the first time. Subject matter, Birchmore. Attachment, petition. Investigate Sandra Birchmore's death, change.org. He said, talk to me about this if you're around. Talk to me tomorrow if you're around. Michael W. Morrissey, District Attorney. Why did that do that? And what he shared for the attachment, this is the petition that Sarah Lee, my friend, I've spoken about her. She's come in our chat. Brandon Embry's mom. Now, you guys have heard me speak about Sarah many, many times. If you've seen me on other channels, I always say Sarah, I was looking at Sandra's case, but I was just like, kind of like doing what Morrissey does, doom scrolling at 10 o'clock at night, looking at her case, but I didn't do a deep dive. I wasn't in it, until Sarah approached me. I was irate when I first saw it. I saw it on the news, but I was working on other cases. I was doing other interviews. But it's still like, when I would lay in the bed behind me, it would just bother me that there was no movement on this case. And that's when Sarah messaged me, because me and Sarah message each other. We don't talk as much since I've been on Sandra's case, but I feel like Sarah fully understands, and she knew that Sandra needed me. And I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, Sarah. No, she needed somebody to step up. And she knew I had a big mouth, and I would be out there, talking about her case, and I would be like a dog with a bone. I wouldn't let it go. So Sarah said to me, what's up with that Sandra Birchmore case? So she made the petition. I believe it was, I looked into it. I don't know if it was, the 21st or the 31st. Give me 1 second. I will get that information for you. Because it's important to share, every ounce of information I can with you guys. And Barb, I'm going to send you a link to it and you could share it in the chat because I can't do it at the moment. Let me see. Oops. So on, where is it? Where is it? So on February 21st, Sarah made the petition. Now, Sarah was trying to balance working on Brandon's case and working on my case, Sandra's case. And I was the one who was doing a lot of the deep diving, but she was too. She was looking, because we were trying to figure out, how Sandra was affording her apartment. So she did things like looked into how much a teaching assistant would make in the Canton, Sharon area. She did stuff like that. We were both working together, but I was like reading the reports and I was sending her, like, if there was good stuff, I would send it to her, and I would, clip it and send it to her and then be like, okay, so, it's on page da-da-da-da-da, and she would go read it. So she didn't have to sit there and read the whole report. And at this time is when Barb and I were getting connected. And, so basically the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group was myself, Sarah, and Barb. I hadn't even made the Facebook page yet. So when this email was sent, so I'll go back to this large so you guys can see it. When this email was sent about the petition, it was the night before I made the Facebook page. Because if you remember, he sent this on, I believe, the 1st. He sent it on March 1st. And it was at night. And I actually probably posted the Facebook page within hours of this because I do my best work at night. So as he's doom scrolling, I'm making the Facebook page. So we're moving in the shadows and he doesn't even know. And in that email, let me go back before I totally show this email. In that email, he only sent it to Megan. She must have forwarded it to Fanning because Fanning replied on March 2nd at 4:25 p.m. Will do. So that was the first inkling Mr. Morrissey knew that there was going to be more people talking about the case. But at that point, there was only 88 people who signed up for the petition. There was only 88 people who signed it. And I know I'm one of them and Sarah's one of them. I don't know if Barb had even seen the petition at that point. Barb and I were just starting to like, hi, who are you? Who are you? At this point, we're just really starting to get to know each other. We talked for a little while. We talked a lot, but it was early days. Like I said, I made our Facebook page on March 2nd. So he was probably like, what's this about? Why are people thinking it's more than, why are people calling for it to be investigated? Why are people saying this? Because we knew. That's why, Morrissey, we knew. You thought people were stupid. You thought people would fall for the BS that you guys were shoveling. You thought people would read Sandra's case and just be like, oh yeah. and not be like, wait a minute, this makes no sense. What 23-year-old girl kills herself like that? Why didn't she go swallow pills? Oh, wait, there's a video? There's a video of him coming in and out? Yes, people saw the bullshit you were trying to force feed us. And we said, no, no, this makes no sense. I knew from the day I saw on the news in September of 2022 that Sandra was murdered. When I saw that first report, I knew from the second I saw it. So it's like, these were very early days. And what was he so worried about? Maybe, Susan, maybe. Kim, 1974, good year I was born. I saw Mizzy on LTL or The Young Jerks. I can't remember. And she told the story about Sandra. It was well before they arrested Farwell. I remember thinking, there is no way a pregnant woman would hang herself. The rate of pregnant women who harm themselves is very, very low. It's very, very low. And the rate of pregnant women being murdered by the baby father, even though now we know Matthew wasn't, but he thought he was, is very, very, it's one of the highest comorbidities of a pregnant woman, how they die. It's from the person that they are dating. I hate to even use those words when it comes to Sandra and Farwell, but unfortunately, that's where we're here. Because in her eyes, she thought they were dating. In her eyes, she thought he was his boyfriend, her boyfriend. In her eyes, she thought he was going to leave his wife. So let me scroll up. That's okay, but it shows how much we how much we jumped head first into it. We did the work and we kept going. We didn't, the first big show I went on was Mike's show, The Young Jerks. Him and I was supposed to go on it in 2023 at the end, but just things weren't working out. So we waited till after the holidays. And I went on, the next show I went on was LTL. I had been on a couple other shows before that, but I'm not gonna name those shows. But and I was thankful that these two guys allowed me to come tell Sandra's story over and over again. And they gave me over and over again, wanted me to come back and tell what the updates of Sandra, and were willing to listen to Sandra's story and share her story on their channel. And I'm thankful for that. And then, months later, the Glare, he let me come on, and, I had some amazing conversations with Will. One of the conversations we had, it was after one of Robert Devine's hearings. We had one of the best conversations about grooming. And, you wouldn't think that, you look at Will and you wouldn't think that he would, and that's stereotyping, you wouldn't think that he would be so, able to have this conversation, and, it was it's one of my favorite conversations I've had about Sandra. And especially for two laymen, not two people who don't have, psych degrees, and we're not cops, we're not therapists, we're not DAs, to sit and have such an awesome conversation. And Will was the first one I spoke to, first show I went on when Farrell was arrested. I had done a couple local news stations. I did, I did go on some news stations, but he was the first, YouTube show that I went on, and I'm so glad he was the first one, because like he calmed me down, he helped center me, and I'm so thankful for that. And so we were pushing, we worked hard to get Sandra's case out there, and yes, a lot of it had to do with Free Karen Reed bringing us in and saying, hey, we see you. Free Karen Reed has been so amazing to because there's a lot of cases that Free Karen Reed was just like, we don't want to hear it. But luckily, you guys were receptive to us, and with that, and with us really plugging, and then we started this Standouts to try to get the people of Stoughton to, we wanted Stoughton and Canton to really realize what was going on in their town. And back then, the people of Stoughton thought Sandra was just that Canton girl, because they didn't realize Sandra was a Stoughton girl. She lived in Canton for 2 months. She was only a Canton resident from December to February 1st, December 1st to February 1st. So educating the public was such a big thing. And at this point, when he sent this, we were barely even started. And in the next few weeks, we were barely started. I had to have family and friends come sign up just so we had people made it look like we had members. And then finally, people like Scott McGinnis and Joe Gorman and a bunch of other people started signing up for the page. And we slowly started to grow. But this was like at the very, very beginning of us, on the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group was like, it was in its infancy. Like, so for him to find that is hilarious to me. He didn't know what was coming. He didn't know how much we were going to push this case. And he didn't understand how vital Sandra's case was to Karen's case, and how vital Karen's case was to Sandra's case. And I hate to not say John, Karen and John's case, because John is the victim in this case. Karen's a victim too of these assholes, but John is the one who lost his life. So they didn't understand how big of a deal us coming together. Because as I've said before, Karen's trial and the case against Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore's case show that it's not just one case for them, like that Karen wasn't crazy talking about corruption, because it was happening in Sandra's case. So, okay, let's move on to the next one. There's only 3 of them, but I have a lot to say about them all, of course, because, Okay, so the next one was sent by Michael Morrissey to David Traub, his ex-communications liaison, and it was sent on March 13th, 2024, again at 10:53 p.m. Michael Morrissey, you need to go to bed. You need to stop doom scrolling at night. I'm going to take me out of it so I can show you guys. He says, Talk to me about this. And what he sent, I'm chuckling because this is about me. For those who don't know, let me pop myself back in chat. Or for those who don't know, my government name is Melissa Berry. My nickname and my stage name is Mizzy B. But I go by Mizzy. It's been my nickname since high school. Actually, it started in junior high. It started as MC Mizzy B, or I'm sorry, MC Miss B, when I was in an R&B hip hop group, and then it slowly evolved to Mizzy B, and then I basically kind of dropped the B. But so let me get back into it. Show you that. Let me get it so I can read it. Okay. So it says in September 2022, when the IA report was first made public, Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey indicated that an initial state police investigation failed to produce evidence of criminality in Sandra Birchmore's death. He subsequently pledged to continue to review her case to determine whether criminal charges can be pursued. To me, I think that's a bullshit line that they used to basically say, we're still investigating this case. However, friends and family and supporters of Birchmore have been vocal in their criticism of the DA's handling of the case, staging protests outside the DA's office in Canton and initiating a letter writing campaign to urge AG Campbell to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate her death. Melissa Berry, who runs the Justice for Sandra Birchmore Facebook page, a public group with 4,700 members. Yeah, we're up to 16,500. Said there have been far too many questions that have. Let me read that again. There have been far too many questions that have still not been answered in relation to Birchmore's death. Last month, Berry posted a memorial tribute to Birchmore on Facebook on the 3-year anniversary of her death. And this is what I said. 3 years ago today, Sandra's body was found in her Canton apartment. She was found in a seated position with a ligature tied around her neck. It was fastened to her closet, and that's where it ends, because he only clipped a little bit instead of showing the whole thing. I chuckle because he was like, what's going on here? What are they talking about? Why are they coming after me? Because you didn't do your job. I'm going to keep talking about you, Mr. Morrissey. And I only say Mr. because you're a male, I think. We're not going to stop till Farwell is fully convicted of these charges, and the other men or women who abused Sandra Birchmore are also behind bars. You could have done your job and got all of these men off the street. Instead, you left Matthew Farwell, a monster, a subhuman monster, on the streets for 3.5 years, where I know he abused somebody else. I know about it. Even though you guys said that she was uncooperative, I know about it. I can't tell you guys everything, but Matthew Farwell abused somebody else. It wasn't an underage person, though. That's all I can tell you. So we will not give up. We ain't got no quit. And we'll be at your office on the 28th. Feel free to come out and talk to us. Come convince us. Come tell us why you think that it's a suicide and not a murder. Tell us how you disagree with the FBI and DOJ. We would love to have a conversation with you. I tried calling you more than once. I left letters for you from our first Standout. And I wanted to open a dialogue with you, but you refused. Or you people kept it from you. Either way, you didn't get back to me. Thank you, Susan. Not yet. I don't know if her aunt has, but we have not yet. Okay, the third email. What just happened? Give me 1 second. I don't know why I did that. Sorry about that. It pulled it out of the string, so I couldn't show it anymore. Give me 1 second. Give me one moment. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Yeah, I've been thinking about sending him an email. I've been meaning to talk to Barb about that. That's something, sorry. My shirt's driving me crazy. My bra strap showing. Okay, hopefully that is up. Okay. Just give me one more moment. Okay. You gotta love technology, but you gotta hate it at the same time. Okay. Okay, here we go. Back to this. And again, if you guys want to come to our Standout on the 28th, it's 3 to 5 p.m. We have extra signs, so you're welcome to hold one of our signs, but we also appreciate people who make their own signs. Okay, the third and final email. This went to everybody. This is from Michael Morrissey. It's on, let me make sure I have it up for you guys. Let me do it big. Zoom a little more. Okay. This is from Michael Morrissey on Thursday, August 28th. This is the day after Matthew Farwell was arrested. And at 8:15 a.m., I believe he's reading the Boston Globe reporting on Sandra's case. And this is addressed to John Fanning, Brian Tully, David Traub, Lynn Beeland, who was basically his right-hand person until she left, Megan Monahan, Trooper Connor Keith, Trooper Dunn, and the subject matter says Detective Farwell charged in Sandra Birchmore's death And he says, he sent to all of them, is this, is there any truth to this? And let me scroll to the next one so you can see what is posted. It says, but Farwell responded poorly. Prosecutors wrote, he became physically violent with Birchmore. She told multiple friends that Farwell had pushed her and shoved her, grabbed objects from her hands, and put her in a chokehold. On January 20th, 2021, Stoughton police received a tip from a friend of Birchmore's that Farwell and Birchmore had sexual relations. The indictment states the Stoughton police employee told Farwell about the tip, according to the indictment, which does not identify the employee, who will also be. They're not going to let that person's name leak out because that person is now a big witness against Matthew Farwell. The thing is, everything that was said right there was in the reports. Michael Morrissey. Everything that was there, the Massachusetts State Police and your ADAs and yourself had access to. So either he is so inept and doesn't check to see what his people are doing, or he's playing dumb. And if they didn't tell him, that's no excuse, because he had access to all this information. That information was in, I believe, both the Stoughton and Canton, the Stoughton and Massachusetts State Police reports. I knew it. I knew the story. That's why I'm able to correct the record, because the person didn't call for a tip. They called because they wanted to get their money back from Sandra. That's what happened. The person called the Stoughton police. I've told the story a bunch of times. The person called Stoughton police because Sandra owed them money and she wasn't paying them back. And they told her or him, I don't know if it's a male or a female, they told them that it's a civil case. And that person said, well, then you tell Matthew Farwell, tell his girlfriend to pay me back my money. And that's the tip that was given. It wasn't a tip. It was told to them out of anger, which I'm not trying to fault this person. The person didn't know the gravity of the situation of what dominoes they were starting to trip. They didn't know that this was going to lead, because this is where Matthew lost his shit. But Morrissey, you had access to all this information. You had access to text messages. You had access to the Stoughton information that they gleaned. You had access to interviews that your Massachusetts State Police officers had, or troopers had performed. If you didn't know this information, why didn't you know it? Because you didn't want to know. And that's why you need to be gone, because you're a horrible leader. You are a horrible leader. Either there's two scenarios. Either you knew and you didn't give a fuck, or you didn't know. Sorry, you didn't know, and you're too much of an idiot to do your job. Which is it? Because if I was the district attorney and a young woman wound up dead and the last person to see her was a fucking police officer, you know what? I'd be damn sure that I made sure that this was done by the book from end to beginning. So when I walked away, I would be able to sit down with this family and be able to say she did it to herself or she was murdered. You shouldn't be asking this question 3.5 years later after the FBI came and cleaned up your fucking mess. So again, are you just a lazy motherfucker that lets the Massachusetts State Police just fucking do whatever they want? Or do you not care? Or were you just like, handle it? Yeah, he's corrupt. But which part of the corruption is it? Like, is he corrupt because he's just a moron? Is he corrupt because which direction of the corruption is he? Because these are things that I would like to know. For him to see some people, myself and the Galera, I was in his chat a couple days ago, this weekend, when he was reading some of these text messages and he came across this. And I was saying, I don't think he knew because he didn't want to know. He just wanted results. That's my opinion. I think he just wanted results. So he let the when he would give them their marching orders for what they needed to get done, how to cover things up, and he would be like, all right, I don't want to know the details. But Will, the Glare, took it as he was sending this as a way to cover his ass. Like, oh, I didn't know he put her in a headlock within the 2 weeks before she was murdered. I didn't know that he was shoving her into a wall. I didn't know he snatched the phone out of her hand and told her, I wish, he either said, I wish you were dead, or I wish you would kill yourself. Well, those are both, either one, are very suspicious comments. I apologize. My nose is like wicked itchy tonight. Oh, gosh. So it's like, which type of corrupt are you, Morrissey? These are things we need to know. I agree. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think he let them do whatever as long as there was no blowback. I bet they have done this forever, and technology has caught up to them. Not only technology, I mean, yes, technology through us being able to put it out, blast out, but it's finally people, people shedding, putting the spotlight on the DA's office. If Karen wasn't such a badass, because you got to think of this tiny, skinny woman stood up against these corrupt motherfuckers. And at the beginning, all she had was her family and her lawyers. And then finally, when Turtle Boy dropped his stuff, some of the stuff was getting out, the photo was making it, photos were being circulated, but it wouldn't have been able to get out there as much as it did if it wasn't for Turtle Boy jumping on the case. And then Sandra's case just reinforced everything that she was saying. That's why I say They're so connected. They're so connected. Karen and John's case proves the corruption in Sandra's case, and Sandra's case proves the corruption in Karen and John's case. They're similar. It's the same people. And I'm glad to finally see Tully in a report for Sandra. You know, I knew his fingerprints had to somehow be on this, but that's the first time I believe I've seen him in an actual report for Sandra. Yeah, Garino too. You know, and the thing is, Morrissey can try to say he didn't know, but the message, I want to say this again. I've said it many times. The Massachusetts State Police, and I'll say it slow into my microphone. The Massachusetts State Police, let me repeat that. The Massachusetts State Police had all those text messages. They had them from Sandra's computer. Fanning did a report saying that he reviewed the text messages. They had them. Them not being on his phone didn't mean shit. It meant shit because, yes, he deleted them, and he deleted her basically out of his life. But it didn't matter. They fucking had the text messages. All of them. They have all the messages from Farrell, both Farrell brothers, Matthew and William, and Robert Devine, and Josh Heel, and anyone else that she was communicating with. They had the messages. Michelle McPhee says it's a year, has been saying it for a year now. Karen Reed is connected to Matthew Farrell, Brian Walsh, and others. Yeah, it's, you know, people wanted to think that Karen asking for Sandra's papers was, oh, she's just trying to cause trouble, blah, 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 blah. No. It's because she wanted that information, because she wanted to connect. She wanted to have those in her hand to connect the dots. Why do you think that's one of the first filings they really made that got out to the public, was asking for the stuff with Sandra Birchmore in, like, the messages between all, you know, Morrissey and all his detectives and everyone in the Norfolk DA's office. They asked for all those messages because they want to connect that it's not just something that happened to Karen, that this is how the Norfolk DA's office and the Massachusetts State Police under him operate. I've been saying this for, 3 years now. That is why they tried so hard to get Sandra's, the unredacted reports for Sandra's case, and to be able to put some of that into the trial. You know, they're all connected. They're connected. They're not necessarily connected in, you know, the people, the defendants and the victims are connected in that way. They're connected by the way that office runs. They are connected by how they investigate cases that have to do with cops. Just en route. His case helps prove the corruption. They all go hand in hand. And yes, Justin's case isn't in the court system because they closed it within 30 days. But his case also proves the corruption. And I know, and when it comes to, say, Brian Walsh, them not getting warrants to go through the phones or take the phone, or I don't know if it's a phone or a tablet that they took that was extra. Instead of taking 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get a warrant, they just took them and went through them. This is how they operate. And finally, it's coming to light. And if somebody like a fucking psycho like Brian Walsh and Miles King, who allegedly murdered his rival, get off, it falls at the feet of the Massachusetts State Police and how they investigated these cases, and how instead of getting warrants, they would just go through people's phones like they did to Karen Reed, like they did to Turtle Boy, because it also connects Turtle Boy too. Hi, Eric. How are you? Great point, Eric. Great point. Find one corrupt investigation, and soon you'll find more. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. To quote Melanie Lill, karma always knows your address, and this stuff is finally coming to light. And how many people are sitting in jail right now? Think about that. Karen only happened, John O'Keefe was murdered in 2022. Sandra was murdered in 2021. And Justin Root was murdered in 2020. These 3 cases, we've been like trying to shine a light on the corruption. How many people are in prison right now who shouldn't be in prison from Norfolk County? Excuse me. How many other people did they do this to? Because clearly there's a pattern, and that's why Karen wants the papers, because there is a clear pattern on how they operate. I kind of want to go back to the emails about Sandra. Barb and I were talking today. I've joked that kind of glad that I'm sick, so I can't go down there all the time. I can't, I can only come once a month and do my thing and get out, because of how my personality is and how aggressive I can be. I would have had a cell right next to Turtle Boy's. I mean, that's metaphorically, because I would be in the women's side and he's in the men's side. I feel like that if I was able to be at 100% Mizzy, I would have had the same issues that he had. Obviously, his are more amplified because of the platform he has. He has a much louder and larger platform than I have. But because my personality is to be a little relentless and to be in your face, I would have been down there every day. I would have had to get an apartment down there for how much time I spent in the Canton and Stoughton area. But thankfully, and I say thankfully just because of the corruption in, what they've done. I mean, Eric, who just made that comment, they were trying to get him for holding a sign. Listen, people, he held a sign in front of Chris Albert's pizza shop, D&E Pizza, that said, "I love Canton," and they tried to go after him. What is more Canton than that? I love Canton. What? Like, that's insane. That's fucking insane. The protected class in Canton, it's just disgusting. Yeah, delicatessen. Delicatessen. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we keep putting our foot on the gas. My car might run a little slower, my car might need, I might need to put, fuel cleaner in and get a lot of oil changes because my car is a clunker, but my foot is going to stay on the gas. We're not giving up. The Justice for Sandra Birchmore group is not going to stop talking. We're not going to stop educating the public, and we're not going to stop annoying the fuck out of Morrissey. Hi, Morrissey. Are there any questions? It's starting to get warm in here. Oh, let me answer this question. Yeah, I gotta bring up that I don't have it on me right now, and I didn't go over. Let me bring something else up. I'm gonna drop it in the chat for you guys to go. If you're on X, and even if you're not, because you can go read posts on X. If you're not on there, Olivia Lambeau did some of the legwork that I was going to do this weekend, and I appreciate that she did it. So let me copy this. I really wanted to get into this tonight, but it's getting warm in my bedroom, and I'm sorry if I'm yelling in your ears right now. Paste. She had an amazing tweet about the connection between William Farrell's lawyer and Morrissey's office, and just Morrissey in general. In short, Morrissey's old law firm is where William Farrell's lawyer was. He's no longer his lawyer. He dropped William like a sack of potatoes after his brother was arrested. But on August 16th, I think the date was, I might be wrong on the date, but it was mid-August and of last year, so about a year ago from now, Morrissey had his annual fundraiser, and there was a big showing there. And the Justice for Sandra Birchmore, there was a small group of us that went, and we held our banner, but we stood in the most perfect spot. We were the last ones to be seen as people were pulling into the driveway, and we're holding our fresh new banner because we just got it, and it has this big, huge photo of Sandra, and it says Justice for Sandra Birchmore, and it has a barcode on it, I believe, for people to, scan and get the information, bring to the website, I believe. And his lawyer at the time, Bay, drives up, and we're the last thing he sees as he drives in. And I'm sure he was like, oh, fuck. And he dropped him like a sack of potatoes. Again, like a sack of potatoes after his brother got arrested. But Bay works for Michael Morrissey's old law firm. And Olivia gets into all the history of all that stuff. So I really recommend you go follow Olivia on X, and you read that tweet. It's a long one, but she always breaks everything down in such an amazing way. She's so smart. She's wicked smart. She is just, she has such an analytical mind, and it's fun to watch her, do her work. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And they asked, is Morrissey still getting a cut royalty type payment from the firm? I don't know. If he is, it's hidden. It's hidden from us. You know, the amount of money that he spent outsourcing things is concerning too. And I didn't post it, but there's also you can go read if you want to read a bunch of these emails besides, you know, the ones that I showed you. You can either go on X and go to Turtle Boy or go to Jess Machado. They both posted a lot of these emails. So you can read all of them. You could read the letter that Morrissey sent to the Speaker of the House to get $1 million. You know, there's a lot of grimy stuff within there that I'm glad that's coming to light. We all need to see this. Everybody needs to see this. And we need to keep pushing this stuff so the public knows when the election comes around next year, we can get Michael Morrissey out and hopefully get some things like Just on Root's case reopened and get the abuse portion of Sandra's case reopened and the other stuff that has gone on, you know, with Sandra's case reopened. I mean, I would love for them to charge him, Matthew Farwell, with state charges for murder. These are things that we need Michael Morrissey out of office to try to get done. So, are there any more questions for tonight? Because it's getting warm in here. I cannot wait for fall. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it not to be like 90 degrees up here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It started out off rough because I was a little woo because the phone call I had, but it was a good phone call and I'm glad I had the conversation. Shout out to that person. And we will definitely do something. And I will always keep pushing your story because Sandra was not the only victim. Let me restate that. Sandra was not the only victim. There are 10 years apart from this young person in Sandra. And there is no way there were no other victims in between these two. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you coming and joining me tonight. Please make sure you, before you totally head out, you like this. It helps get it out for other people to see. You know, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It helps my channel get out there more. It helps more people to see Sandra's story. I'm going to start actually doing shorter stories on Sandra. So I'm going to start putting reels up for to put on here and TikTok and Instagram, little short clips to inform people about Sandra's case. But there's a lot of stuff that we have coming up that I'm really excited about. I'm going to bring Peter Murphy back soon. I'm going to see if he can do it this week. I was going to see if he could do it see if he could do it next week. I was going to see if he could do it this Wednesday, but Turtle Boy has a hearing on Wednesday, and a lot of people are going to be talking about that. So I didn't want to try to go up against any of those kind of shows. Tomorrow there is a hearing about the Miles King case, and it's something for you guys to really pay attention to. It jumps into the BS that the district attorney's offices has been doing, where they're not turning over discovery, where Miles King's case is proving, that, Yannetti and Jackson and Little and Alessi weren't talking out of their asses, that they weren't getting discovery. How many times did Miss Little have to get up there and say, we don't have this. They still haven't turned things over. Well, Miles King's lawyer, who's a pit bull, her name's Rosemary. I don't remember her last name because Rosemary Clooney's coming in my head, so her last name isn't popping in my head. So if anybody in the chat knows her last name, please put it in the chat. She's actually featured on the documentary, Trial 4. It's on Netflix. I recommend going to watch that because it shows you the corruption, how deep the corruption in Massachusetts goes. Scarpicchio. Thank you. Did I pronounce it? Is it Scarpicchio or Scarpecchio? Either way, she's a badass woman. Somebody said she's got really spiky blonde hair, and somebody said that she came to outspike Lally in his Baby Shark spikes. As Melanie Little, I'm just shouting out Melanie Little all over the place tonight. But I recommend people watching that documentary, but also paying attention to what's going on in this case. And it shows that the DA's office is not turning over discovery, and it didn't just happen in Karen's case. So it's another layer to it, and we don't want people to be getting off. Obviously, somebody like Karen who was innocent, we want them to get off, but I personally believe that, Walsh is hella guilty. Miles King seems like he's guilty. I don't know. I hate that he uses the same name as me, Mizzy. That's his rap name. Well, it's my rap name too, and it was before you. At least we spell them differently. We don't want these people getting off because they're not turning discovery over. How hard is it to do that? They know they have to do that. It just proves that they're not just corrupt, but they're lazy. Get your shit together. Okay, I'm gonna head out, guys, because I'm just gonna keep ranting. So thank you again, everybody, for coming. I hope there are no more questions. I hope I answered everything. I want to thank everybody who was here tonight, and thank you everybody who's on the replay crew. You guys mean a lot to me. Hearts to everyone. Hearts all around. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Barb. Thank you, Barb, for always going to get information when it's not coming to the tips of my brain or the tip of my tongue. And thank you, everybody, for wanting to know what is going on in Sandra's case, because it's very important. It's important for us to continue to show the corruption. It's important for us not to just talk about, what's happening in the federal case, but what happened in the state case and why Matthew Farrell was not charged. Those things need to come to light. And like I said, I am not going to stop. I'm going to keep talking about this till I can't talk anymore. So on that note, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I enjoyed my time with you guys tonight. I am Mizzy. Oh, wait, one thing before we go. I have to figure out how to get the music to it, but next time we do a live, I'm going to sing you my theme song. I've had the first verse and the chorus written for a long time, like before I started covering Sandra's case, but I wrote a second verse. So I got to get on the AI bandwagon and get the music made, but I do have a theme song, and I'm going to sing it for you guys a cappella next time. I'm not going to sing it tonight, but I will sing it for you guys a cappella next time. So that gives me a little time to do some do a couple writing, you know, shore it up a little bit. But I'm going to sing that for you guys next time. So I look forward to that. So thank you, everyone, again. I am Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. Thanks, guys.